This game is heating up, folks. Frank squares up like a butcher block on defense. Audie with the fadeaway. She's on fire! Literally, that is. The net has been burned to a crisp.
I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans.
And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field.
Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the marching band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cyclone Fanatic post-game show. I'm your host, Leah Nelson. Connor Ferguson's joining me in the studio today to talk about Iowa State's tough loss against Kansas State tonight in overtime. But before we get started, let's thank our sponsors. Starting off with Channel Seed, they're our title sponsor for both the men's and women's shows this year. We're super excited to have them on board. They're great people and great Iowa State fans. And then our friends over at Fairway Meat and Grocery, great produce, great meat, great for dinners, tailgates, anything and everything. So make sure you check out Fairway when you have a chance. But Connor, tough. You texted, you were like, they crawl their way back in, and then it's almost like they, get too far gone. So what are your initial thoughts on this Iowa State-Kansas State game?
Yeah, from the Iowa State side, that's got to be really frustrating. Just with, the two big runs K-State was able to get that really swung that game, and then you're hanging around, you have a chance to win it a couple of times without the shot clock there, and then you go to overtime, and obviously you guys saw what happened, but Iowa State really close to getting that marquee win that they need to really feel safe about the bubble. And now you turn to, I think you got probably 2 to 3 more opportunities for that, and there's another one on Sunday. But you really wanted that one. That was a really terrific game out of Iowa State, and hurts to lose for sure.
Talk a little bit about Kansas State's defense. I mean, the announcers even talked about how they're not always pressing. Most games they aren't at all, but it seemed like when Iowa State got the ball, there were a bajillion Kansas State players on anyone and everyone wearing an Iowa State jersey. So talk a little bit about their defense.
Yeah, Iowa State's got to do some soul searching with that. There was a multitude of times where it was just like having issues getting the ball to the half court line. It's something that should be routine, especially for a team that has a 5th-year point guard on it, that has the experience that it does all around. And you can't have games where, you give up points with that. There's a couple of those inbounds that went from the baseline in the offensive zone, to use a hockey term. I don't know what it's called in basketball, to be honest with you. But from the baseline, throwing it to the backcourt, trying to get that space and utilize that empty space back there when that rule persists. And they just threw it over people's heads and gave up 2 breakaway lands. I don't think the second one went in, but man, you'd like to have 2 points back at the end of that game.
It is tough. I mean, we talked about it earlier. Looking on the positive side, it did seem like Kansas State was going to run away with this game on multiple occasions. And then it seemed like someone on Iowa State was making a perfect shot, a 3-pointer, which was exciting. But talk about what Iowa State needs to do to be able to just finish these close games and come away with a win.
Yeah, it goes back to what I was just saying about the careless mistakes sometimes. I don't know if I'd say careless or if the effort wasn't there. That's not what I'm trying to say. You've just got to execute those little intricacies of the game. You have to be able to do the fundamentals well, as they would say. And putting that together throughout the game is obviously going to make it a lot easier to win. But when you're making those errors and trying to claw back into a game, it makes it that much harder because it's one more thing you got to do. So if you just had an 8-0 run to tie the game and you give up 5 straight points on a layup and a 3-pointer off a bad turnover, that's a kick to the stones that you have to deal with mentally, and your team has to claw back from it. And how many times can you expect your team to claw back after this punch, this gut punch? And sometimes it gets to a limit at some point in the game, and then you have the 8-point loss in overtime. That's just what it ended up being.
Talking a little bit about points and stats. I mean, Addie Brown had 20 points, Audie Crooks 28, and then Sydney Harris 3, Jackson 5, Ryan 6. It's amazing when you have a couple players in 20-point figure, but then no one else is in double figures. So talk about who needs to step up in this next game. I mean, they've got a huge one against TCU on Sunday.
I think by now the post-game show fans know I'm the biggest Sydney Harris fan out there. I think she needed nine 3-point attempts tonight from Sydney Harris. I want to see her shoot the 3 more. I think her shots typically go in. I think she's still the leading 3-point percentage player for the Cyclones. You got to get her more, just some way, somehow. And they attempted a good amount of threes tonight. Is that right? Yeah. 36 3-point attempts?
Yep, 30.
Definitely,
36,
definitely.
yeah.
Sydney Harris attempting more than that's what I would want to see. Addie Brown also with 20. That's good. They want her to shoot more. 4 or 5 from the 3-point line for her, and I thought that was notable as well. Sorry to talk over you.
No, I was just agreeing with you. You had the stats all correct. I mean, it's awesome to see Kelsey getting into action, and obviously Lily. It seems like she's got her footing and a little bit more. Her confidence is there. And Chelsea and I have talked a lot on these pregame and postgame shows that it's a young team and they just need to have confidence in these games. They're definitely gaining. They're projecting in the right arena to obviously continue to hopefully win and compete. But what does Iowa State need to do on Sunday against number 9 TCU? Another chance right off of this tough loss to really prove themselves and get that marquee win.
Well, I thought tonight was a good good example of doing what you need to do to win a game. What you can't have is the scoreless droughts where they look like a different team. At times they had this issue in the first half-ish of their freshman season, this younger group. And it's kind of carried over to this year. It went away for a bit and it was still persisting. I think it definitely showed itself in the Maryland game last year in the first round of the tournament. But it's kept going. There's like a certain couple minutes, few possessions in a row where they just give up points and are unable to score. And you have to eliminate that. You can't go on scoreless droughts. You can't give up huge scoring runs, especially when you're playing a team of the caliber of Kansas State or TCU. So if they can play that game on Sunday and play a similar game that they did tonight and limit the errors, limit the turnovers and the mistakes they made, I think they're going to be in it. They're going to have the crowd there on Sunday. It's going to be an intense atmosphere. But aside from the frustrating parts, and I know it's very easy to say, but aside from all the mistakes tonight and the bad stuff that happened, I think you come away from this game encouraged, not to speak on moral victories.
I love the positivity. You know me. I'm a very positive person, and I felt the exact same way. Although frustrating, you can definitely see the improvement that Iowa State women are making, and it's exciting. I hope that they have a quick, fast start on Sunday because, when they do, they come out on top usually, especially like when they did against UCF. So thanks, Connor, for joining in, and you did great. Shout out to our sponsors, Channel Seed, our title sponsor, and Fairway. Shout out to everyone listening. Make sure you tune in to the pregame right before the Iowa State taking on number 9 TCU on Sunday, February 2nd at 3 p.m. We'll be live at 2:30. Go Cyclones.